heard a few people say that the game on Thursday against TSC Bačka Topola, I think that's what they're called, that's an opportunity for some people to be able to break into the West Ham first team, meaning there's a chance that if someone plays well, they could break into the team to face Liverpool. I'm not so sure. I think there's one. I think there's possibly one who could, although where he would play is open to debate. David Moyes seems to have come across this formation and this utilisation of personnel, which is Lucas Paquetá on the left-hand side. I mean, the great irony is that I think for so long we've been looking for a left winger, yet we've stumbled across, I say stumbled, maybe that's an insult to David Moyes, but he's come across this solution to the left-sided problem that actually looks pretty damn good, even though there's no sort of bona fide, authentic left winger there. Leaves side Benrahma in a bit of an interesting situation, that's for sure. But what that allows him to do is obviously play three central midfielders in that form of obviously Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse and Thomas Soucek. I have to say, from a personal point of view, it's not a midfield three I want to see all the time, but I think we're going to see it against Liverpool, particularly given that I didn't even know this until Gio mentioned it in the preview, that Edson Alvarez has actually got a game suspension in Europe, which is, hey, look, just one of those things. He's going to be suspended for any game. It's this one, which I am sure is going to be the easiest one of the lot. But the one player I think that is probably going to be able to find his way into the team, albeit not necessarily against Liverpool, is Mohammed Kudus, because we suspect, I was going to say I suspect, but I know there's a lot of people who also would feel the same way, that he's going to be a really important player for West Ham, that he is a good player. And the thing is, we don't actually know, do we? That's the thing with it. A lot of us haven't seen a lot. Unless you watch the Eredivisie and you watch Ajax play, or you're Ghanaian and that's your national team and you know all about this player. I think a lot of us are basing our hopes on some footage that we've watched retrospectively once we knew we were going to sign him. And what people like, I mentioned it before, like Ruud Gullit, like Fabrizio Romano, what a lot of these people were saying about this. I don't know why I've compared Ruud Gullit with Fabrizio Romano. One of them was a journalist, one of them was like one of the best footballers of all time. But yeah, what I'm saying is respected people, be they pundits or ex-footballers, say this guy is mustard. He is the business, Mohammed Kudus. And for that reason, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play in Europe. I say in Europe, I would look forward to him seeing him play against Lincoln in the League Cup. It's just this is the first time we're going to be able to see him. And to a lesser extent, Konstantinos Mavropanos is going to feature. I'm pretty sure in this game, if he doesn't, he'd be peed off. The thing is, David Moyes does not muck around in these games, so I don't expect to see loads and loads of changes. In fact, I expect to see four, 5 players that maybe started against City. I would expect them to start in this game. He's not going to muck around. He's going to take this seriously. Once he gets qualified, or hopefully I say once, if we qualify, if we find ourselves in a luxurious position, as we have done in Europe thus far under David Moyes, of qualifying from the group with a game to spare, then he can rest. I think he did it at Dynamo Zagreb. Was that the first time he did it season before last? He will do it. He will rest. He will play youngsters. He's not going to do that in this one at all. But I do think there's a difference between playing, I don't know, someone like Connor Coventry in midfield or selecting somebody that you've bought for 35, 40 million in the example of Mohammed Kudus. I'm excited to see him. It was quite frustrating watching him play against Man City. I was pleased he came on and he did a couple of dribbles, and he played tried to switch the play and play inside Benrahma, which didn't really work out. But the 2 real dribbles that he went on started from deep. I mean, he was pretty much in the right back position when he started them, wasn't he? So it wasn't great. I want to see what he can do in the final third, as I know everybody else does too. But I do think there's an option there for him to maybe get into that team. As I say, there's no way Moyes can play that midfield three in every single game. He just won't get away with it. I was pleased that he was willing to withdraw Thomas Soucek. Obviously, the Alvarez, whatever it was, cramp or fatigue, stopped him from doing that substitution. But he was going to keep Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse on the pitch and take Soucek off. And I was pleased for that. So, that I'm pleased about. Mavropanos, even if he plays really, really well, is he going to be able to force his way into the team? I think not, but what he does is he gives David Moyes an option and then probably gets to start against Lincoln and so on and so forth. And it's hard to envisage a scenario this season where a Gerd doesn't have a bit of a nightmare and get dropped at some point, and or Kurt Zouma is picks up an injury. I just don't ever think Kurt Zouma is going to play 38 games of a Premier League campaign, so there's just going to be opportunity there. I think the one interesting thing is where this leaves Said Benrahma. And I've got a bit of sympathy for Said Benrahma, actually, because Said Benrahma was like a player of extremes in many respects. Certainly when I listen to a lot of people speak about him, he either gets a ton of praise heaped on him, or a lot of criticism. A bit Marmite, if you want. I say Marmite. It's a bit Marmite. I think Marmite's not even Marmite to me. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's disgusting. Marmite's all right. And I don't see too many people like that with Said Benrahma. And I think Said Benrahma's taken a long time to come good at West Ham. And I do think he came good. I think he came good at the most crucial moment when the chips were down. I don't know why I've mentioned Marmite and chips in the same video. That does seem a bit wrong, doesn't it? But when the chips were down, he delivered in the cup final. He really did. He showed his nerve. He held his nerve. And it's not the first time he's done it. I think actually it might have been the penalty shootout with Manchester City where he possibly took either the first or the last penalty. It was an important one though, and I think he's taken a while, but I think he's become a really important player for West Ham. But I also do believe he's probably the first person and easiest person to leave out of that starting lineup. And I think that's a little bit of a shame. I don't think he's been particularly good at the start of this season, it has to be said. I think he's been patchy at best. I think he was great when he came on as a substitute. I think it was against Brighton, wasn't it? Played that. It wasn't just playing the long ball to Jared Bowen, who scored that sort of exquisite goal with the one touch and then finished really smartly, didn't he? But it was his overall play. I think he was incisive. He was direct. His decision making was good, and all of those things aren't normally what's attributed to Said Benrahma. But just because he's not in the best of form, I also don't want to see him ousted either. I think he's got a part to play this season. I really do. Whilst he might not be in the best of form right now, there is going to come a point this season where we need Said Benrahma, and I think there's some important moments in him. And is he going to finish the top assist getter for West Ham or top goal scorer? No, he's not. But standing up in those important moments and holding your nerve is quite an important quality. So, and I think we'll need him, and I think he'll come to the fore. So, it's just going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a little bit tricky for Benrahma. I think he's done nothing wrong, particularly given what he did in the Conference League final, but he may find himself going backwards. Because if Kudus is going to get into this team, it's going to be at the expense of somebody. And I just look at it and I think, where's that going to be? And I think if Paquetá is going to be playing on the left-hand side, and he does link well with Emerson, doesn't he? Then what's he going to do? I think maybe if he loses one, and he showed this with a substitution, it's going to be Soucek. Then Kudus maybe plays in central attacking midfield. I just don't see any room for Benrahma. Anyway, there you go. I'll tell you what is going to tell us an awful lot, though, is where Kudus plays in this game. That's going to tell us a lot. It would also tell us a lot if Mavropanos played at right back in this game as well. But I suspect that won't be the case. I've seen nothing. It was just my hunch. I looked at him and I thought he might be able to play there. I'm thinking we signed a centre-back. But where Kudus plays, that's going to be really, really interesting. I definitely think it's going to tell us a lot where Moyes sees him playing in the future. But anyway, I'm excited to see him play. I tell you what, wouldn't it be absolutely gutted if he didn't play and he started him as sub? Moyes wouldn't do that. Even Moyes wouldn't start Mohammed Kudus as sub. I think he's going to start him, and I think he's going to have a cracking game.